My name is Emma. I'm the girl who can read the lies in people's eyes. Not literally, of course, but I've spent 26 years studying the tiny movements, the subtle shifts, the almost imperceptible changes that happen when someone isn't telling the truth. It's both a gift and a curse, because when you can see deception everywhere, you start wondering if anything is real, including love, especially love. I never thought I'd fall for someone like Liam Crawford, a man whose eyes I couldn't read, a man whose truth remained hidden from me, and that terrified me more than any lie ever could. The first time I met Liam, I was hiding in the corner of my best friend's engagement party, counting down the minutes until I could leave without seeming rude. Social gatherings exhaust me. Too many faces, too many eyes telling stories that don't match their words. You look like you're plotting an escape route. His voice came from behind me, deep and amused. When I turned, I nearly spilled my champagne. Dark hair, strong jaw, and eyes the color of stormy seas. That obvious, huh? I managed to say, only to a fellow escapee. He smiled, and something fluttered in my chest. I'm Liam, friend of the groom. Emma, friend of the bride. I waited for it. The moment when I'd catch the flicker of insincerity, or the practiced charm that men like him, handsome, confident men, usually wore like armor. But there was nothing, just clear, steady eyes. I couldn't read him, and that was new. My ability to detect lies started after my father left us when I was 8. I'm just going to the store, Emma Bear, he'd said that Sunday morning. I'll be back before you know it. But his eyes had shifted down and to the left. A classic tell. He never came back. Under that, I became obsessed with understanding the signs. I read books on body language. I studied microexpressions. By high school, I could tell when my teachers were bluffing about pop quizzes, when my friends were lying about where they'd been on Saturday night, when my mother was pretending she wasn't still heartbroken. In college, I majored in psychology, then got my master's in behavioral analysis. Now I work as a consultant for a private security firm, helping screen potential employees and occasionally assisting with investigations. I'm good at what I do. Too good. Sometimes. It's hard to date when you can see through you look beautiful tonight, and I'll call you tomorrow. Until Liam. We exchanged numbers at the engagement party. 3 days later, he texted me. Coffee tomorrow? I promise not to ask about your deepest secrets until at least the second date. I smiled at my phone. Something about his straightforwardness was refreshing. Our coffee date turned into lunch. Lunch turned into a walk through the park. The walk turned into dinner. You're different, he said over pasta. You watch people like you're trying to solve them and pry. I froze with my fork halfway to my moss. Is that creepy? No. His smile was warm. It's fascinating. Like you see things others don't. If only he knew. What about you? I asked, deflecting. What's your story? He told me about growing up in Seattle, about his work as an architect, about losing his mother to cancer 3 years ago. All the while, his eyes remained steady, clear, unreadable. It wasn't that he seemed dishonest. It was that I couldn't tell either way. For the first time in my adult life, I was taking someone at their word. It was terrifying and exhilarating. 3 months into dating Liam, I was falling hard. We spent weekends exploring hidden corners of the city. He cooked elaborate dinners in his loft apartment, while I sat on the counter, watching his confident movements around the kitchen. He stayed up late talking about everything and nothing. I hadn't told him about my ability. How could I? By the way, I can tell when people are lying. but for some reason, not you. It sounded insane, and part of me was afraid that once he knew, he'd become self-conscious, and I'd suddenly be able to read him. I wasn't ready to lose the magic of uncertainty. One night, as we lay tangled in his sheets, the city lights casting shadows across his face, he traced a finger along my cheek. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How I can't figure you out," I answered honestly. He smiled. "Is that good or bad?" "Good," I whispered. "Definitely good." "Emma," he said, his voice suddenly serious, "I think I'm falling in love with you." My heart stuttered. I searched his eyes desperately, instinctively, for any sign of deception. There was nothing but that clear, steady gaze. "I think I'm falling in love with you too." And for once, I didn't care if he could read the truth in my eyes. 5 months in, I met his father. Richard Crawford was imposing, tall, silver-haired, with the same storm-gray eyes as his son. But unlike Liam's, I could read his immediately. We had dinner at an expensive restaurant downtown. Richard asked polite questions about my work, my family, my education, but his eyes kept shifting, calculating. When Liam excused himself to take a phone call, Richard leaned forward. "You seem like a lovely girl, Emma," he said, swirling his whiskey. "But I have to ask, what are your intentions with my son?" I blinked, caught off guard. "My intentions? Liam is in line to take over the family business," he continued. "It's important that he has the right support system." Family business. Liam had told me his father owned a small architectural firm where he had worked before branching out on his own. The way Richard said it sounded much bigger. "I care about your son," I said carefully. "That's my only intention." Richard smiled, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Classic disbelief. "Of course," he said. "It's just that Liam has always been idealistic. He sees the best in people. I'm more practical." When Liam returned, the conversation shifted to safer topics, but a seed of unease had been planted. Later that night, I asked Liam about the family business. "It's just a small firm," he said, his back to me as he hung up his jacket. "Dad likes to make it sound more impressive than it is." I couldn't see his eyes. For the first time, that bothered me. The crack in my perfect relationship appeared a week later. I was at work, reviewing security footage for a case, when a familiar face caught my attention. Liam. He was entering the headquarters of Crawford International, one of the largest real estate development companies in the country. The timestamp showed it was from 2 days ago, when he told me he was meeting a client across town. My stomach dropped. Crawford, the same last name. I did a quick search. Richard Crawford wasn't the owner of a small architectural firm. He was the CEO of Crawford International, a billion-dollar company known for luxury developments, and according to several articles, questionable business practices. And Liam wasn't just an architect. He was the executive vice president and heir apparent. My phone buzzed with a text from him. "Dinner tonight? I miss you." I stared at the message, my throat tight. Why would he lie about something like this? That else wasn't he telling me? For the first time, I was grateful I couldn't read his eyes through a text message. I wasn't sure I wanted to know the truth. "Sure," I replied. "My place at 7. I spent the third of the day in a fog of confusion and hurt. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately. Another part was afraid of what I might learn. By the time he arrived at my apartment, I had rehearsed a dozen different approaches. He kissed me at the door, then held out a bouquet of wildflowers. "These reminded me of you," he said. "Beautiful but not too perfect." I took them, forcing a smile. "Thanks. They're lovely." We moved to the kitchen, where I'd been half-heartedly preparing dinner. I watched as he opened a bottle of wine, his movements easy and familiar in my space. "How was your day?" he asked, pouring 2 glasses. "Interesting," I said. "I saw something surprising at work." "Oh?" He handed me a glass, his eyes curious. "I was reviewing security footage for a case." I took a sip of wine, watching him over the red from Crawford International. His hand stilled for just a moment. A micro expression of surprise crossed his face before he controlled it. "I saw you there, Liam." My voice was steadier than I felt. 2 days ago, when you said you were meeting a client across town." He set his glass down slowly. "Emma, you're not just an architect, are you?" The words came out in a rush. "You're the executive vice president of Crawford International. Your father isn't the owner of a small firm. He's the CEO of a billion-dollar company. Why would you lie about that?" Liam's shoulders slumped. For the first time, I saw something clear in his eyes. "I didn't lie," he said quietly. "Not exactly. I am an architect. I do work on my own projects. But yes, I also work for my father's company. Why not just tell me the truth?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Because people treat me differently when they know. They either want something from me, or they make assumptions about who I am. When I met you," he looked at me, his eyes pleading for understanding. "You looked at me like I was just a person, not a Crawford." I didn't want that to change. I wanted to believe him, but for the first time, I was questioning my inability to read him. Was it really that he was uniquely honest, or was he just exceptionally good at lying? "What else haven't you told me?" I asked. He hesitated. That was answer enough. "Emma, my family's complicated. The company, there are things I'm not proud of, things I'm trying to change from the inside." "Like what?" I told me then. About the aggressive development tactics, the environmental corners cut, the political influence bought, his father's ruthless business philosophy. "I've been working on a plan to restructure how we operate," he said. "More sustainable practices, ethical development." But my father, he shook his head. He doesn't see the need for change. I listened, my emotions swinging between sympathy for his position and anger at his deception. "I understand why you might have wanted to keep this private at first," I said finally. "But we've been together for months, Liam. You told me you love me. How can I trust that if you've been hiding such a huge part of your life?" "Because I do love you," he said, reaching for my hand. "That's the most honest thing I've ever felt." I pulled away. "I need some time to think." His eyes, those unreadable eyes, filled with pain, but he nodded. "I understand." After he left, I sat alone in my kitchen, the untouched dinner growing cold, wondering if I'd ever really known him at all. For a week, I avoided Liam's calls and texts. I threw myself into work, taking on extra cases, staying late at the office, anything to keep from thinking about those storm gray eyes and the secrets they might still be hiding. My best friend, Zoe, listened patiently as I explained the situation over wine at her place. "So he's rich and didn't tell you," she summarized. "Is that really such a deal breaker?" "It's not about the money," I insisted. "It's about the dishonesty. How can I be with someone who kept something so fundamental from me?" Zoe studied me over her glass. "Emma, you've ended every relationship the moment you caught a guy in a lie, even small ones. Maybe that's why this hurts so much, because you actually let yourself fall for Liam before you found something wrong." Her words hit uncomfortably close to home. Was I looking for perfection? Was I so afraid of being betrayed like my father had betrayed us that I'd made honesty an impossible standard? "I don't know what to do," I admitted. "Do you love him?" Zoe asked simply. "Yes," I whispered, the truth I couldn't hide from myself. Then maybe give him a chance to end, really explain. And maybe, she hesitated, maybe tell him about your thing with reading people. It's part of who you are, Emma. If you want honesty from him, you have to offer it too. That night, I couldn't sleep. Zoe's words kept echoing in my mind. At 2 a.m., I texted Liam, "Can we talk tomorrow?" His response came immediately, as if he'd been waiting. "Yes, anytime, anywhere." We agreed to meet at a small park near my apartment, neutral territory. When I arrived the next afternoon, he was already there, sitting on a bench, his posture tense. He stood when he saw me, uncertainty in every line of his body. "Hi," he said. "Hi." We sat side by side, an awkward foot of space between us. "I'm sorry," he began. "I should have told you everything from the beginning. I was afraid of losing you before you really knew me, but that's no excuse." I took a deep breath. "I have something to tell you too." He looked surprised but waited. "I can read people," I said. "I mean, I can tell when most people are lying. It's something I've studied and practiced for years. I notice the tiny changes in expression, eye movement, body language. It's why I'm good at my job. It's also why I've never had a relationship last more than a few months." Liam's brow furrowed. "I don't understand." "Everyone lies, Liam. Small lies, white lies, lies of omission, and I see them all. It's exhausting, lonely." I swallowed hard. "But with you, I couldn't tell. For the first time, I couldn't read someone's eyes, and it was freeing. I could just trust you without analyzing every word." "Until now," he said quietly. "Until now," I agreed. We sat in silence for a moment. "Is that why you're so guarded?" he asked. "Because you see too much?" I nodded. "My father left when I was 8. He looked me in the eye and promised he'd be back soon. I saw the lie, but I didn't understand it then. After that, I became obsessed with reading people. I thought if I could see the lies coming, I'd never be hurt like that again." Liam's expression softened. "Emma, I'm so sorry. About your father, about breaking your trust." "I need to know," I said, meeting his gaze directly. "Is there anything else you haven't told me? Anything important I should know?" He held my gaze. "There's one more thing. My father knows about you, not just from dinner that night. He had you investigated after we started dating." I stiffened. "Investigated? That's what he does with everyone close to me or my sister. He's paranoid about people using us to get to him or the company." Liam's jaw tightened. I told him to stop, that it was invasive and wrong. We had a huge fight about it. That's actually why I was at the office that day you saw me on the security footage. I was telling him to back off or I'd leave the company. "What did he find out about me?" I asked, feeling exposed. "Nothing that matters to me," Liam said firmly. "Your job history, your education, your family situation. He tried to use it to convince me you weren't suitable." His word, not mine. Anger flared in my chest. "And what did you say?" I told him that I love you, that you're the most genuine person I've ever met, that if he ever interfered in my personal life again, he'd lose me for good. I studied his face, searching for any sign of deception, but as always, his eyes remained clear, steady, unreadable. "I want to believe you," I whispered. "Then believe me," he said simply. "Or don't, but know that I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. That's the truth, Emma, whether you can see it in my eyes or not." A tear slipped down my cheek. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and brushed it with his thumb. I'm not perfect, he said. I've made mistakes. I'll probably make more, but I promise you this. I will never intentionally lie to you again, and I will spend every day trying to be worthy of your trust. In that moment, something shifted. For the first time, I thought I could see something in his eyes, not deception, but vulnerability, raw and real. Maybe I couldn't read him because he wasn't hiding anything, or maybe I couldn't read him because what I felt for him clouded my judgment. Either way, I had a choice to make. 2 weeks later, I found myself in the lobby of Crawford International. The receptionist looked up as I approached. Can I help you? I'm here to see Richard Crawford, I said. My name is Emma Reyes. Her eyes widened slightly. Do you have an appointment? No, but he'll want to see me. She made a call, speaking quietly. After a moment, she nodded. Mr. Crawford will see you. 18th floor. His assistant will meet you at the elevator. The ride up was silent, my heart pounding against my ribs. I wasn't sure if what I was doing was brave or foolish. Maybe both. Richard's office was exactly what I expected. Expansive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He stood as I entered, his expression carefully neutral. Miss Reyes, this is unexpected. I'll be brief, I said, remaining standing even as he gestured to a chair. I know you had me investigated. I know you think I'm not suitable for your son. A flicker of surprise crossed his face. He hadn't expected Liam to tell me. It's nothing personal, he said smoothly. I have to protect my family's interests. No, I said firmly. You have to protect your family. There's a difference. His eyes narrowed. I could see the calculation behind them, the assessment of whether I was a threat or merely an annoyance. I love your son, I continued, and he loves me. That's not going to change, because you disapprove. But I'm not here to ask for your blessing. I'm here to tell you that I see you. Mr. Crawford, I see the way you manipulate and control, and I want you to know that it won't work with me. He leaned back, a cold smile playing at his lips. You're very direct, Miss Reyes. I'm honest, I corrected. Something you might want to try sometime. And what makes you think you know me so well after one dinner? Because I can read people, I said. It's what I do professionally, and it's what I've done my entire life. I can see when someone is lying, when they're hiding something, when they're trying to manipulate a situation. And right now, you're doing all three. For a brief moment, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Good. Liam is trying to change this company for the better, I said. He believes in ethical development, in sustainability, in doing right by communities instead of exploiting them. You should be proud of him for that, not fighting him every step of the way. Richard's jaw tightened. You don't understand business. I understand right from wrong, I cut in. And I understand that Liam is torn between his loyalty to you and his own moral compass. Don't make him choose, Mr. Crawford, because if you force that choice, you might not like the outcome. We stared at each other for a long moment, neither willing to back down. Finally, he spoke. You're either very brave or very foolish to come here like this. Maybe both, I admitted. But I thought you should know exactly who you're dealing with. I'm not going anywhere, and I will always be able to tell when you're not being straight with Liam. I turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and Mr. Crawford, Liam doesn't know I'm here, and I'd appreciate if you kept it that way. Consider it our first test of honesty. As I walked out, I caught a glimpse of something in his eyes I hadn't expected. Respect. That evening, Liam came over with takeout and a bottle of wine. We'd been slowly rebuilding our relationship, one honest conversation at a time. "How was your day?" he asked, setting out containers of Thai food on my coffee table. I considered telling him about my visit to his father, but some truths could wait. This moment, just us, just here, felt too precious to complicate. "Good," I said. "Better now." He smiled, and I studied his eyes. Still that clear, steady gaze that I couldn't quite read. But maybe that was okay. "What?" he asked, noticing my scrutiny. "Nothing, just looking for the truth in your eyes." He set down his wine glass and took my hands. "What do you see?" I looked deeply, past the stormy gray color, past my own fears and doubts, past the walls I'd built to protect myself. "Love," I said simply. "I see love." And for once, I didn't need to analyze a micro-expression or catch a tell. I just needed to trust what I felt. Lee Wam smiled. "That's the truth I've been trying to show you all along." As he leaned in to kiss me, I realized something important. Sometimes the clearest truth isn't found in the subtle shifts of expression or the tiny movements that betray deception. Sometimes it's right there in front of you, steady and unwavering, if you're brave enough to see it. And sometimes the most honest thing we can do is to stop looking for lies and start believing in love, even when it terrifies us, even when we can't read it, even when it asks us to take the biggest risk of all, to trust without certainty. Because in the end, that's what love is, a beautiful, terrifying leap of faith. And I was finally ready to jump. As Emma and Liam's story fades into the night, I can't help but wonder, have you ever had to trust someone when everything inside you screamed to run? Have you ever found yourself searching for truth in someone's eyes, hoping desperately to see love staring back at you? Emma's journey reminds us that sometimes the greatest love stories begin when we stop looking for lies and start believing in possibilities. If this story touched your heart, if you felt Emma's fears or Liam's determination to prove himself worthy, I'd be honored if you'd share this moment with others who might need to hear it. Hit that subscribe button to join our community of storytellers and dreamers. Your like is more than just a click. It's a signal that stories like these matter, that the raw, messy, beautiful journey of finding love deserves to be told. Leave a comment sharing your own experience with trust and love. Have you ever had to take a leap of faith with someone? How did it turn out? Every share, every subscription, every moment you spend with these stories allows me to keep creating them for you, to keep exploring the complicated, messy, magnificent thing we call love. Until our next two together, remember Emma's discovery. Sometimes the truth isn't found in subtle clues or careful analysis. Sometimes it's right there in front of you, if you're brave enough to see it. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for being here. See you in our next journey through the heart. Same time, same place, new story.